Well, I guess here goes for my first ever expired film experiment. There's a couple of things to say first of all before we get into it. And the first is, I'm using a half frame camera for this experiment, and as I will explain later on, that's kind of unwise. And with the benefit of experience, now and in future, if I'm using expired film again, I would probably never use a half frame camera. And second of all, as we get into this, if you have expired film, I want to share with you what I've learned about the rule of thumb about how you expose that film, right? The ISO rating. And this is something I learned off the internet, right? This is not something I've been doing for many years and really truly understand, but the general rule of thumb is for every 10 years that a roll of film has been expired by, you add one stop on the ISO rating, okay? This film that I was using is an ISO 400 and it expired in 2007. That's almost 20 years, right? As good as damn it 20 years. So you could say, instead of treating it as ISO 400, if you bump that up 2 stops, that takes it to ISO 100, which is probably the ideal setting for this expired film. So I'm taking this expired film up to the Scottish Highlands, up to where my parents live in the Ardnamurchan Peninsula, and I'm excited to take you with me and we'll see how the shots turn out. Welcome to the Scottish Highlands. I'm on a bit of a mission today. I've got my brand new, old, 60-year-old Olympus Pen S, which I'm going to be trying out here. The good thing about taking photos with a half frame camera like this one is you get double the amount of shots for your roll of film. And that's the reason why this became so popular, cameras like this became so popular in the 60s and 70s, basically because you could save money by taking the double amount of photos. Now obviously those photos end up smaller, they're half frame, right? So every standard frame of 35mm film, you get 2 shots and they go vertically like that. And that's why when you hold the camera that way, the shots appear vertical. When you hold the camera that way, they're horizontal. Anyway, I've got 72 shots to play with. Here around my folks' place in the Highlands, there's quite a lot of interesting things. Like, it's not going to be street photography at all, because here in the village, where I will take a walk later, I think there's like 300 people who live here, but there's never that much action, right? It's always very quiet, everybody stays home. But I will take a wander later and see what's happening. But here in the garden alone, I mean, we've got the animals here, we've got the dogs and cats. They're all quite nice looking. We've got the barn here. This is a great feature. There's lots of old stuff, old machinery in the barn, and the barn itself is nice. So I think that's going to be my starting point, and we'll see where we go from there. The sun has come out. It's actually turning out to be a gorgeous day. And I'm looking forward to just getting out and about this and seeing how we get on. Let's go for a bit of a photographic adventure. Hi dog, excuse me. Meet it. Hi. Oh. I know you didn't mean it. It was an accident. Don't do it again. Knock my camera over. There's something about these cameras, holding them in your hands, winding the film on after taking a shot. They're really simple to use, really easy to use cameras. There's no functions, there's no battery. There's a winder on the back, and then there's 3 different functions on the front. So, I mean, as long as you know the basics of photography, the basics functions of a camera, you can use this thing, and it's all very mechanical. So, for example, the shutter speed on this one here, it clicks into little idents there, which feels great. You've got the focus ring, the black one here. which has idents of 2 meters, 5 meters, and infinity, but lots of little numbers in between as well there you can see. And then the aperture right in the middle here on the lens itself, which is from 2.8 all the way to f22. What that means is you really have to know your Sunny 16. If you can use Sunny 16 well, you can use this camera well, and you can judge your ISO obviously by the film that you're using. So we'll see how we get on with that. But the other things as well is obviously you're kind of guessing the focus range, right? I mean, I can set it to 1 meter here and take a shot roughly what I think a meter is. And that's what you have to do. 1 meter, 2 meters, 5 meters, whatever it is. But you don't know if it's in focus or not until you get the prints out. I think there's something quite beautiful about that. It's also like, how can I compare it? I do a lot of fishing. I think that's an interesting comparison. I do a lot of fishing. And when I go fishing, there's no guarantee I'm going to catch anything. Even though I can be as prepared as possible, even though I have lots of expertise in that area, I know what I'm doing, sometimes the fish aren't biting. Sometimes you get it wrong. And I think it's kind of like that, right? You'll get 72 shots at this, and some of the photos will not be in focus. Sometimes you get the ISO wrong. And there's something quite magical about that. We can try our best, and it tests and pushes us as photographers, I think, as well. One thing I do use to help me though is, aside from Sunny 16, I do have a light meter reader on my phone, which is very good and very accurate, I found. I'm using this one here, look. It's absolutely brilliant. Set the ISO, set the shutter speed, and the important thing for me for this camera there on after is the aperture. That does help a lot when you're using these kind of really manual cameras. But it's also handy to know your Sunny 16 as well. The roads here with the trees above them creates like a tunnel effect. But you know, in general, it's just a nice place to come and go for a walk here. You can spend hours and hours just walking around. Sometimes you bump into people, a lot of times you don't. And it's just very peaceful. You can hear the sound of the river down there, birds. The only thing disturbing it is the sound of the dogs going mental up the hill, as they do. I feel like there's something in this scene here. I like the way that the pine needles have fallen on the road, which looks quite autumnal already, quite ginger, and then the tire tracks here. I'm going to try and play around with that a little bit. Also up here I noticed the berries are out. My grandma always said when the trees are full of berries early in the season, it's going to be a cold winter. I think there's something in that. There's definitely a shot there. We'll try it anyway and see how we get on. It might not come out on the film camera with it not being in detail, but it's coming out here on the phone anyway, which looks gorgeous. Contrasted with the blue skies and this tunnel of the tree effect. Unfortunately, I don't have a subject. If I had a subject, I think this would be a much better photo, but I don't have a subject. This sign here in Gaelic, that could be a shot. Could be a shot, maybe. I actually think there's a shot here as well. The Gaelic on this wheelie bin with the giveaway sign behind and the road. I think there's something in that. The good thing about this type of photography, I usually do street stuff. And street stuff you have to be quick. Here I can kind of take my time to compose it and think about it. As well here, there's so many, there's a bit of construction happening here as they're fixing the road, but there's so many houses like this one that are just like kind of cabin vibe type houses, and I love the road tracks that lead up to them as well, so there could be some shots in that. Now what do we have here? A farmyard, a barn, machinery and equipment. It's always photogenic. Old rusty forklift maybe. Although I don't like that blue bin in the way. Not sure. Let's see. And one thing is definitely worth acknowledging when you're using old cameras like this one, old film cameras, they're amazing. And I love how they feel. I love the mechanical nature. The focus idents clicking into place. There's something about that I just love. But there's definitely limitations. Like, this is not ideal for some things. And I don't really mind about that. Like, I don't care. This is all about enjoyment and kind of getting back in touch with a real machine. That's not to say I'm against digital. Like, I use iPhones for most of my video shooting. But on the days that I bring this out, there's just something. But there's definitely limitations. So it's not going to be ideal for wildlife photography. It's not going to be ideal for that, because unless you can get very, very close, which I have found in places like the Highlands in Scotland where animals are quite wary of people, you can't get close. So it's not going to be good for that. Alright, we're down by a riverbank here. And the one thing that kind of immediately jumps out to me, there's not many features here. It's like trees, very green. The clouds in the sky and those trees on this horizon here are the things that stand out to me, because they're reflecting off this still water perfectly, like a mirror. There's definitely something in that. Don't know if you're picking a noise up on the camera, but the cows in the background are going mental. Anyway, I just spooked some ducks, so there's a bit of ripple in the water now. Once that ripple goes down, I think there's something in this shot here with these clouds and the trees reflecting. I think, to be honest, I'm liking this line here. Should have had my sunglasses on. What a day it is. The sun is splitting the sky. We've had a lot of bad weather recently, so definitely enjoying this. Enjoying my walk here in the wilderness of Scotland. Guys, exactly what I was talking about earlier about the wildlife stuff. There is a white-tailed sea eagle. I can hear it. And I just saw it a second ago, right just there, just above the, I'm not sure if it's picking up on the phone. But it's currently being mobbed by a bunch of other birds. And this is just this type of stuff I'll never ever be able to pick up on this camera. That's fine, it's not what it's for. But moments like this, you wish I had a kind of long lens. White-tailed sea eagle, swooping around and being swarmed. It's the type of magic you get up in the Scottish Highlands. And I saw a flock of geese take off from a field, and they were yapping in great distress, so I'd imagine the eagle might be after the geese. There's the geese there, they've landed in this field here. Are they safe from the eagle here? I don't know. So just walking up this side of the road now, coming back the other way, and you definitely notice things differently. So when I was walking this way I didn't see it, but now coming this way I see something. This house here with the road leading up to it, that's a nice house, nice old cabin type of thing. And on this side you've got the red of the berries and then yellow flowers down here as well, so I think there's something in this. Let's line it up. I'll have to put the camera that way obviously to get the horizontal shot of this one, but we'll give it a go. I should probably say as well, if you ever fancy coming up to these parts, exactly where I am in the Scottish Highlands, this is Ardnamurchan, the Ardnamurchan Peninsula. It's one of the most remote regions in Scotland. There's some amazing wildlife up here if you're into wildlife photography or just getting out in nature in general. And when you get days like this when it's sunny, it's unbeatable. So aside from the eagles, you get golden eagles, white-tailed sea eagles obviously, lots of other bird life. Another thing I'd love to take a photo of, I've never managed, but they are here in numbers, is pine martens. Pine martens are a very, very curious, gorgeous looking animal, but I've never actually seen one close enough to take a photo. I've passed them on the road several times, they've crossed right in front of my car, especially at night, but I've never had one close enough to take a photo. The best way actually to take a photo is a camera trap, or you have like a video recording webcam outside and lay food for them. That's how a lot of people do it. What else is there? Oh yeah, slow worms. There's loads of slow worms up here, and I have actually taken photos of them. We've caught them a few times, obviously released them.
We found them here in the garden a few times as we've been kind of lifting stones and stuff. We obviously put them away out of harm's reach, away from the dogs and away from any other animals and stuff, so they can be safe. But they're, let me show you some photos of them. Basically, you could say a snake, but it's not a snake. It's a lizard with no legs. That's what a slow worm is. Let's see if there's anything around the garden that's interesting. It has been raining. Drips on this bucket. Oh, that would be for macro, which I won't be able to do with this. Huh. Maybe something there, I don't know. Looking for lines and shapes and colours. Plenty of colours up here. A lot of texture in these old barns. I see there is an old shed here, an old tin shed, which looks interesting at the bottom of the garden. But this now becomes a low light situation, according to my light meter. So it might be a bit tricky for this camera, so we'll see what we can do. Maybe there's something here. Not as easy to do one-handed. Let's see, what do we have inside here? Oh, it looks like an old fridge or something, old freezer maybe. Got an old rake there. Another bicycle down there. But not like attacked by any bats or anything in here. Let's see. Definitely a shot to be had in here. Oh, petrol canister down there, a jerry can. Maybe something with that. Maybe I could line that up against the bike. No bike in here. There's not much light though. There's light coming through these windows. Not sure. Not sure. Yeah, crowbar there. What's that? I wouldn't be too surprised if I lifted that and there was something interesting under it, like a slow worm. It's the type of thing, if you lift it, you tend to find things like that. Let's see. No, nothing under there. Oh, let's get out here before I'm attacked by a haggis or something. The weather in the Highlands is absolutely neurotic. Honestly, it's been pouring rain, and now the sun is splitting the skies to the point where I'm actually getting burned. Makes it difficult when you're using a manual camera. The light just changes so quickly. You have to be on it, and not forget what your settings were the last time you used it, so you can change them. This is George. He's cutting the grass right now. That is his work jacket, perched on a branch there. I think that's quite a nice shot actually.
So a couple of these shots are not terrible, right? They're not too bad. But as I explained earlier on in this video, the problem is I was using a half frame camera, and I now don't think that is the way to go for expired film because, and as I said, any flaws in the film, and there's quite a lot with expired film. One of the features, for example, that I find with expired film, having shot it now a few times, is that the grain is more pronounced. And so with a half frame camera, you're getting half the usual size of a 35mm frame, so you basically double those flaws. People report all kinds of weird stuff with expired film. Like I said, you get different streaks of light that appear on it and all sorts. And I think that's part of the charm. That's why people are attracted to expired film, because you get these unpredictable results. But that's also one of the problems, is you cannot know for sure how that film is going to turn out. And I've now got the benefit of having shot with expired film quite a few times, different rolls of film, and I can say that's definitely true. Regardless of what they see in eBay, or wherever it is you buy your expired film, you don't know how that film was kept. Because if it was kept in a fridge during the time that it was expired, then it would probably be okay. But I think you could probably assume for most cases it wasn't, right? And so what that means is, I have decided anyway, for me, I will never now shoot photos with expired film that I think are going to be important in some way. Like if it's a family event, no expired film. Things like that, right? If I'm going out wandering with no purpose and I'm not too bothered about the shots, like I don't think I'm going to take any shots that are going to be world beating or going to end up in my portfolio, then I might think about taking expired film, right? The charm of expired film is that unpredictability. You get all these different grains and colors appearing on the film. But generally speaking, all it means is the film is going to be lower quality than what you would get out of a new boxed film. And as I say, with half frame cameras, you double that unpredictability, you double the flaws. And I think you can see on most of my shots here that there's just too much grain in general. I think that's one of the problems. So thanks for tuning in to these film videos. I'm really excited to be doing them more often on this channel. I'm really enjoying this hobby of mine, this new hobby of mine, which is film photography. It's taking me back to the roots of photography. And there's something I want to share with you quickly. I run a Patreon account. I've ran this Patreon account for many years, and it's something that has really, really helped me to create content on my travel channels and all the other stuff. And I've built an amazing community there. And I want now to bring in the film photography community to my Patreon. So I've been thinking up new ways to bring benefits to people on Patreon, right? It's basically a platform, if you didn't know, where I have a private community and I can have deeper discussions with my viewers like you, and also provide more value. So on Patreon, I'm going to be basically giving videos there, or putting videos there that you don't see anywhere else, first of all. So exclusive content. You also get your name in the credits. That's another cool feature. Another thing I'm going to add into Patreon, which the photography community is going to enjoy particularly, is I'm going to film some of my behind the scenes stuff. So for example, the way that I scan my film using my DSLR, I'm going to film that whole process each and every time I do it and add it onto Patreon, right? Those are going to be quite long videos, raw and uncut. Basically just me, as I go through my process of scanning my film, talking through the process, maybe answering some questions as we go along. I think that could be quite fun. And then every month as well, I'll be reviewing some of the gear I've been using throughout that month and give those exclusive videos to my Patreon members as well. I'm also going to be doing posts every month on Patreon showing all of my photos that I've taken, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and explaining why they're good and bad and ugly, what went wrong with them, all that kind of stuff. Kind of like a photo dump of my 35mm shots for you guys all to see. The stuff that I don't post, don't share anywhere else, you'll get to see them there. So for this video that you're watching now, for example, it is a place where you will see all the shots from that day on Patreon, okay? I'll put the link down below. And I'll also be selecting 2, 3, or 4 photos per month, which I will add onto my Patreon, which have been fully designed as posters that can be printed, right? They will be available as high quality, high definition downloads for you that you can literally print yourself and use as posters for any purpose you want, okay? So all that stuff coming in, it's on Patreon. I'm now inviting my film photography community over there. I'd love to see you there. The address is patreon.com/Sean. Subscribe to me there, follow me there, and all the funds that I gather over there are used to make my videos better and better. And I really appreciate my Patreon community and everyone that decides to sign up. So thank you very much. And thanks for watching this video and watching all of these videos, and we will speak really soon. Until the next one, have a good night, morning, evening, afternoon, or whatever time of day it is, wherever you are in the world. Take care.